안녕하세요. My name is Sam, and this is
Susie.
And we're talking about Korean grammar in use today. My background is that I only speak very basic Korean, and I'm very lazy and don't have much initiative. So we're going over this book together and seeing what we can glean from this. Susie, have you already reviewed this when you bought it?
No.
No. I quickly looked through this table of contents and to try to figure out how I would break this down. Originally I thought, I'll do 1 chapter per day or 2 chapters per day, but it's kind of uneven how they break down. This part with the particles is about 60 pages long, and it's about a 375 or 350 page book. And then toward the end, some of these sections are only, 2 pages or 4 pages. So to start out, I would probably do 20 to 30 pages at a time. I got to about here today. I was sleep deprived, and then I cut off here, but it was a little bit of a review of some basic things I already know, if that's even possible, and then taking notes on the more interesting parts. Susie, any notes at this point?
No.
Not yet. Okay. So there is an introduction before you. There's an introduction, then a getting ready, then the actual units. So it's good, really good information if you've never gone into it in depth. You have some example sentences. Kerol I gayo, kerol I jayo, erek I sagwalul mokoyo, and then this banger here. Erek I doso guan eso, chekul ilkoyo. So already we're jumping right into it. Here it kind of brings up that the particles are pretty important. You have a particle for every part of speech, at least that's how I understand it. Erek I, doso guan eso, chekul ilkoyo. And so I can see now why the particles section is like a quarter of the book. I read through these example sentences. They were really good to get over, to just speak them out, and to kind of, build your muscle memory. Like, erek I mo heyo. And then it's assumed, erek I sagwalul mokoyo. I'm just going to keep moving on, though. They have this kind of guide of verbs. Later we'll see with the basic being verbs that is very useful. Moving along, talks about connecting sentences. So this already was new information for me because I have essentially not much information. So this part I went over. If you're connecting sentences, 바람 이 불어요, 그리고 추워요. You can connect that more simply with 바람 이 불고 추워요. And there's some other sentences. This word for spicy I was going to ask you about, Susie. Kimchi nun 맵습니다. That means to be spicy.
Yes.
맵습니다. Okay. I would have said 매운 있어요. Kimchi is spicy, but 맵습니다 is a more direct way, I guess. She's nodding. Yeah, and so there's some other sentences. These sentences are just a rehash of these, but without the English in there. Sentence types. This was really useful for me to go over. They talk about politeness, and I don't know. I'm aware of the formal polite, but I always do informal polite, and kind of as a caveman, I am mainly focused on mastering just like the one form, and getting as far as I can with that. Unfortunately, I don't have much dealings with the military news reporting presentations, meetings, or lectures, so I don't use the high form very often. The declarative sentence is just, normal stuff. I'm going to skip the formal polite style. Informal polite. 저는 학교에 가요. 저는 빵을 먹어요. So, seems like we're right on the right track here. Interrogative sentences. Asking questions. It's pretty much the same as the regular. Skipping the formal polite style. The informal polite is the same as above. Imperative sentences. This one was interesting because I never really connected that they were a certain type. Skipping again to the informal polite. 공책에 쓰세요. Please 쓰세요. Please write in your notebook. 책을 읽으세요. 읽으세요. Please read the book. I never noticed that seyo was imperative, but now it makes sense because like juseyo is like, hey, give me that. Kind of. It's like, can you give me that? But it's also like, hey, actually give me that. Prepositive sentences. Let's meet. This is something that is new to me. 십시에. Is that, would you say 십시에, or how would you?
11시에 만나요. 11시.
11시.
Yeah, 11.
11시에 만나요. 여기에서 점심을 먹어요. So this is the same as oyo. I just didn't recognize manayo. Yeah, so basically the informal polite sentence works for everything. Yay! Except seyo. You just need to know seyo is imperative. But otherwise, the 3 out of 4, these are the same. And then these are, each one is different. Moving along. Anything to note so far?
Not really, but I think this chapter is kind of very comprehensive. And if you know the basic sentences, how you form each part ahead, then this part would help more to understand the kind of nuance.
Okay. Would you recommend I go back and I learn every single style here? The formal, polite variations?
Well, if you're just beginner, I think you can just lightly read through this chapter, like you read just novel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I at least skim it so I can recognize, like, oh, ibnida, that's like kamsahamnida. That's kind of actually a formal, polite style. And then ibnika, I recognize the ending, and shipshyo, I recognize the ending. It sounds like that's what they say on trains in the U.S. Shipshyo, I don't know, in the airport. But yeah, otherwise I'm just focusing on informal polite for now. But yeah, I'll take your note in mind that this is like a good foundation to have. Honorific expressions. This one, I mean, I read through it, but this, I started losing my attention a little bit. Honoring the subject of the sentence. I understand honorifics, like you say she, to honor the listener, but yeah, they talk about honoring different parts of the sentence. And so anyway, so if you have gayo, gada or gayo, gashibnida, gaseyo, gasyasoyo, gasyatayo, gasyasayo, gasyosayo,
가셨어요.
gashosayo, gashil goyeyo. I kind of recognize some of these without the she part, but I don't really understand an example of why you would use them, and then they give these examples here. So I read these out loud to kind of, test it out, but I can't think of a context where I would, have to say this and it would be the difference between me being understood and not understood. So I just kind of glossed over this, but I wrote it down for later to return to. Honoring the listener. They have this example. Basically, it's the difference between 감사합니다 and 가사해요. 감사해요. It just sounds weird to say. I've never heard anyone say 감사해요. I always hear 감사합니다. So for me, I'm just going to default to this and kind of just jot it down, come back to it later. These other honorifics, this totally went over my head. Because for like jara, I know jayo, jasayo, but jumushida, that's, is that common? Do you use that a lot?
Yeah.
You use that a lot? Oh no.
Only for quite old people, like your mom, your husband's mom,
Okay.
or grandma.
So all of these I should learn if I need to talk to my mom, husband's mom, or grandma.
Yeah, for especially for grandparents or old people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe for now I won't talk to old people, but maybe later I'll learn how. Yeah, and like I tried speaking out these sentences. Nail shigan isuseyo. Do you have time tomorrow? Some nouns have honorific counterparts. Yeah, so I look through this and it's like, usually I only know the base form and I only use the base form. But I looked at these. It was a little unfamiliar to me, but I just, kind of noted it down and moved on. Honorific particles can be used after nouns indicating other people. Geso, gesonun, ge. I like strawberries. Jonun talgilul joaheo. Jonun. That sounds a little, familiar to me. But I think the first version is the non-honorific version. Nouns. So yeah, again, jotting it down, moving along. Nouns designating persons can be made honorific by adding the suffix nim. So this, I felt good because I was like, I recognize that. Songseng nim, sajang nim. They have some other examples as well. Respect can be expressed toward the listener or target of the action by using the following words. This one I jotted down, moved on. Speaker can show respect to the listener by lowering his own social status. Nanun becomes jonun. Uri becomes sohui. Johui. Oh, johui. I thought that was sohui. Okay. Glad we're going over this. Chodogu so shik ul dulosoyo. I also heard that news. Yeah, so I think you mentioned to me before you're supposed to say jonun or something, like you don't go around saying nanun. but I never fully understood why, and now I understand why. They briefly go over this, and this is a really good point to go over, is like, it's common to repeat someone's name instead of coming up with a pronoun like dangshin. A lot of times in Google Translate, they'll translate you, like the second person is dangshin, and that's like pretty weird. That's kind of like something you would only say to your husband or wife, right?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Do you want to elaborate on this part?
What? I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, they have an example here of, Yokoshi oje huisa eso jejun shilul manasoyo. And then they have the example of like what you would not do, and like, you wouldn't say guge dangshin ul jachasayo. That's not what you would say. You would just repeat their names. Jejun shiga yoko shilul jasasayo. So like, even if you're talking to Yoko, you would say Yoko's name again if you're addressing them again in the sentence. That's not something you would do in English. That would sound really strange, like, I don't know, like you're Elmo on Sesame Street referring to yourself in third person again and over again. I don't know, kind of like that, but not really. Anyway, it's really good to have this spelled out, because like, if you're just stumbling into Korean, looking up Google Translate, and you'd never really have a real lesson, then you never totally understand this. But it also has this great example sentence. Yobo, aga dangshin I nahante chonhwa hesoyo. Dear, did you call me?
That's it. The yobo is how you call your house or wife or husband.
I thought it was yobu.
아까 before 당신이 did you. In this case, between couple, married couple, they can call the others 당신. Then also this is used to mention kind of a respectful person. When you say himself or herself for respectful person, it's also used. So it's a kind of rare, but this can be used for like between married couple first, and then when you fight or argue with someone else, you can actually hear someone use 당신 to the other. It's a little
respectful way to fight.
This is aggressive way of using. And the third one, the most rare one, is the one, the himself or herself, for someone else that you respect. But even though this part is a little advanced features of Korean, but I can say the 저 using 저 for yourself can go always. So when basically in conversation you have someone to talk to with you, and in that case you will always mention yourself 저 instead of 나. It's pretty common and very basic.
Okay, cool. There's one last page in this introduction to the introduction. There's a special expression for asking what is your name or how old are you, asking an old person. So instead of 이름이 뭐예요, you would say 성함이 어떻게 되세요, instead of 나이가 사장님 나이가 몇 살이에요? I guess you don't say sal. Talking to older people, you would say 연세가 어떻게 되세요? Yeah, sal is not used to refer to older people. Any comments on that?
Well, the sentence is saying, I hate old, you're kind of calling sir. What's your name? Stuff like that. But basically, this is in business relationship. You always ask someone else's name using that word. 성함이 어떻게 되세요? The sentence. Yeah. But funny thing is, when you mention 연세 instead of 나이, it sounds very old.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one is common in a business
Yeah.
way, but how would you ask how old are you in a business context?
Well, you can use 나이
Okay.
unless the other in the conversation is pretty old.
Okay. So if you say 사장님 나이가 몇 살이에요? Does that sound natural?
If I ask age of my boss, I would say 사장님 나이가 어떻게 되세요?
Oh, okay. 사장님 나이가 어떻게 되세요?
Yeah.
Interesting. So this book is kind of showing an older, more formal
Yeah, I
style.
think this is a very very formal and this is very informal. But I usually just say 나이가 어떻게 되세요? Unless I'm very close to the other.
Okay, that's really good to know. Yeah, and then they go into this part about a giver and receiver. Like if you're giving or receiving a gift, I gave a present to mom gave a present to me, I gave a present to my little brother, little sister. There's different like honorific forms for higher, lower, and giving and receiving from higher, and then giving and receiving to lower is what I understand. But that one I glossed over. Okay, any notes before we continue on?
Well,
Do you want to flip through the last intro to the intro?
No, I guess one interesting, funny situation came in my mind. But when you ask the age of a pet, don't say
Okay.
나이가 어떻게 되세요. It sounds
That
very
would be really weird.
Yeah, it's kind of silly. You can ask. You can use that sentence for the pet age or like a kid's age.
Okay.
나이가 몇 살이에요?
나이가 몇 살이에요?
Yeah.
Is it 몇 or 몇?
How many?
Like, can you say that sentence one more time?
나이가 몇 살이에요?
나이가 몇 살이에요? Okay.
How old is your dog?
How old is your dog? 당신의 나이가 몇 살이에요?
You can ask them, say, 연세가 어떻게 되세요? Just for fun.
Yeah. How would you say your dog?
Remove your.
So you would just say dog.
Yeah.
개?
Yeah, but
개 나이.
usually
개 연세가
even
어떻게
the
되세요?
dog is grown, you can just say, how old is your puppy? The puppy in Korean is 강아지.
강아지.
Yeah.
And is there a particle after 강아지 you would say? So 강아지 이
강아지 나이가 몇 살이에요?
나이가 okay. 강아지 나이가 몇 살이에요?
Yeah.
Is correct. And then if you want to be funny,
Yeah.
강아지 연세가 어떻게 되세요?
Exactly.
I'm gonna use that the next time I see someone with a cute little white poodle or a
Yeah.
Pomeranian, because we all know about those white dogs in Korea. I'm gonna ask them that. Okay.
Okay.
강아지 연세가 어떻게 되세요? It's funny. Okay. Okay, we're gonna cut it off there, and we'll resume with the next video.